I told my wife I could hire a maid. She lost it, and I didn't see it coming. We've been together for 3 years, married for 1. I'm 40, she's 36. No kids in the picture. When we started dating, she made it clear she enjoyed being a stay-at-home wife, said she was a good cook, always busy. I was fine with that. If the house was clean and I was well fed, then I was happy. I mean, I've been a high earner for a while, frugal too, saving over half my income since I was 20, built up a nice nest egg, paid off the house. Life was good. Then we took a trip to Colombia, and it changed everything. We loved it there, so much so that we decided to move. I had enough saved up, thought, why not rent out the house and live off the income and my portfolio? Seemed like a dream, but then things started to change. My wife stopped cooking and cleaning like she used to. She'd say, the food here is so cheap, why bother cooking? But I missed those home-cooked meals, so one day I told her, if you're not gonna cook and clean, maybe get a job? I could hire someone local for that. She got mad. Really mad. Said, how could I get a job in a low-wage country? I suggested she find something remote, like I had. And she just got angrier. I reminded her of our deal from the start. If she didn't want to cook and clean, she could contribute financially. She thought it was unfair. Said I was lounging around while she did everything. But I explained, we are living on the income from my house and the savings I had before we married. Things got tense. I didn't know what to say. She felt betrayed. I felt misunderstood. I thought we had an understanding. But maybe I was wrong. We both went quiet. The silence was heavy, almost suffocating. I didn't want to push her away, but I also wanted what we agreed upon. I kept thinking, did I handle this right? Was I being unreasonable? I tried to see her side, but it was hard. I mean, was it wrong to expect her to hold up her end, or was I just stuck in my own head, not realizing how things had changed? The tension lingered. Neither of us knew what to do next. I wondered if this was the beginning of something bigger. A rift we couldn't mend, and in that silence I asked myself, would you have handled it differently? Maybe I should have approached it differently. Maybe with more empathy, more understanding. But when you're in the moment, it's hard to see beyond your own perspective, you know? I felt like I was being practical, laying out options. But to her it must have sounded like an ultimatum. I mean, here we were, living this life we both wanted, in a place that felt like paradise. Yet somehow we ended up at odds. It's strange how quickly things can shift. I thought about our conversations before we moved, how excited we both were, how we talked about a simple life, away from the hustle and bustle. But maybe in all that excitement we overlooked the details, the everyday realities. In my mind I was just trying to keep things balanced, fair, but it was clear she saw things differently. The idea of her getting a job, especially remotely, probably felt like a slap in the face, like I was dismissing her value at home. I realized I hadn't really listened. Not truly. I was hearing her words, but not the emotions behind them. And now here we were with this distance growing between us. Later that evening I tried to break the silence. I said, look, I didn't mean for it to come off like I don't appreciate you. See, I do, I miss what we had. The meals, the way we worked together. I thought we were on the same page. She looked at me, eyes filled with frustration, but also something else. Sadness? Maybe disappointment? It's not that simple, she said softly. I'm trying to adjust too. This is new for me, for both of us. I nodded, feeling the weight of her words. It was a new chapter, and maybe I was clinging too hard to the old one. But how do you find that balance between honoring the past and embracing the present? We sat there for a while, not saying much, just sitting in the quiet, letting it wash over us. It wasn't easy facing the fact that I might have been too rigid, that maybe I had my own learning to do. I want us to work, I finally said. I really do, so how do we move forward from here? Her expression softened a bit. I don't know, she admitted. But maybe we start by talking more, figuring out what this new life means for us. Together. We both knew it wouldn't be simple. but at least we were talking. At least we were trying. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough for now. So there we were, sitting together in this unfamiliar place, trying to navigate a road that suddenly felt a lot more complicated than we thought it would be. I couldn't help but think about how easy it was to get caught up in the big picture. Moving to Colombia, living off my savings, the excitement of starting fresh. But it's the small everyday stuff that's trickier. The cooking, the cleaning, the little agreements that somehow turn into big deals when you aren't paying attention. I looked over at her and I could see she was struggling too. Adjusting to a new country, a new way of life must be daunting. I guess I hadn't considered how much of a change it was for her. I mean, we both wanted this, but maybe I underestimated how much we'd have to adapt. Her words echoed in my head. It's not that simple. And she was right. It's easy to say things should be fair, balanced, but life doesn't always work out like that. I realized I needed to be more flexible, more open to what fair meant for both of us. Not just me. We started talking more that night, sharing what we felt, what we missed, what we hoped for. It was awkward at first, but slowly it got easier. I could see her relax a little, and I felt the tension in me starting to ease up too. I suggested we try to find a rhythm that worked for both of us. Maybe mix things up, take turns with the cooking, or even make it a joint effort. Try out some local recipes together, make it fun instead of a chore. She seemed open to it, which was a relief. We talked about exploring more, finding activities we both enjoyed, and maybe even meeting some locals. I figured the more we felt at home here, the easier everything else would become. And who knows, maybe that would open up new opportunities for both of us. We didn't solve everything that night, far from it, but we took a step forward, and that felt important. I realized I had to let go of some of my old expectations. Embrace this change, not fight it. And maybe, just maybe, we'd find a way to make this dream work. Together. The next few days felt like a cautious dance. We were both trying to find our footing, trying to not trip over the past while stepping into this new rhythm. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. I think we both realized that clinging to old expectations was only going to hold us back. I found myself thinking a lot about what it meant to be partners. In my mind, I had this fixed idea of roles and responsibilities, but life isn't always so black and white. It's about supporting each other, adapting when things change, and most importantly, communicating. I had to remind myself of that, and I tried to be more conscious of her perspective. One morning as we sat down for breakfast, a mix of local fruits and some eggs we managed to whip up together, I asked her how she was feeling about everything. It was a simple question, but one I realized I hadn't asked enough. Her face softened, and she told me she appreciated the effort I was making to understand. It was a small moment of connection, but it felt significant. We started exploring the city more, taking in the vibrant culture and meeting a few locals. It was refreshing, seeing how welcoming people were, how eager they were to share their stories. It made me think about our own story and how it was still being written. We could shape it however we wanted, and that was both exciting and terrifying. I began to see her in a new light, realizing how brave she was to take this leap with me. It wasn't just about being in a new place. It was about building a new life together. And that required compromise, patience, and a lot of trial and error. As the days turned into weeks, we slowly found a routine that worked for us. We took turns with the chores, sometimes cooking together, sometimes ordering in and enjoying the local cuisine. It was a balance, not perfect, but ours. I learned to let go of the rigid expectations I held onto so tightly. I saw that she was adjusting and trying, just like I was. It took some time, but we got to a place where we appreciated each other's efforts rather than focusing on shortcomings. Looking back, I realized how easy it was to get caught up in the logistics of living and forget about the living itself. It wasn't about who did what or how things were divided. It was about enjoying the journey together, learning from each other and growing as a couple. In the end, I understood that life isn't about sticking to plans or agreements. It's about flexibility and understanding. It's about being open to change and willing to grow. And most importantly, it's about love and respect. As I sat there one night, watching the sunset with her by my side, I couldn't help but wonder what was more important, holding on to an old agreement or creating a new one that truly reflected who we were now. I found myself reflecting on that question as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. It was a moment of clarity amid the chaos of my thoughts. I realized that our relationship, like any other, was never going to be static. It had to evolve with us, and that was a good thing. Sitting there, it struck me how much I had taken for granted. I was so focused on what I thought was fair, based on my contributions and expectations, that I didn't see how much she was giving up, how much she was adapting just to be here with me. It wasn't just my journey, it was ours. And in that moment, I knew I had to be more patient, more understanding. We started making small changes, little adjustments that made a big difference. I began to appreciate the nuances of our life in Colombia, the vibrant markets, the friendly locals, the slower pace. It was a world away from what I was used to, but it was beautiful in its own right. And I could see her beginning to embrace it too, finding her own rhythm in this new life. I also began to see the value in what she brought to our relationship beyond the cooking and cleaning. Her perspective, her warmth, her ability to make a place feel like home, even when everything else felt foreign and new. Those things mattered more than any agreement we'd made back when everything was theoretical. As the weeks continued, we grew closer, finding joy in the little things. A shared meal, a walk through the bustling streets, a quiet evening at home. We started to joke more, laugh more, and it felt like we were really beginning to settle in. It wasn't perfect, but it felt right. One evening, as we sat on the balcony watching the city lights flicker on, she turned to me and said softly, "I'm glad we did this. I know it's been hard, but I'm happy we're here together." Her words warmed me in a way I hadn't expected. They reminded me why we took this leap in the first place. I nodded, feeling a sense of contentment settle over me. "I am too," I replied, "and I'm glad we're figuring it out, together." It was a simple exchange, but it encapsulated everything we'd been through. The challenges, the adjustments, the growth. As I lay awake that night, listening to the distant hum of the city, I thought about the journey we'd embarked on. It wasn't just about moving to a new country. It was about redefining what our life together looked like. It was about realizing that while plans are important, they're not everything. And sometimes it's the unexpected detours that lead to the most rewarding experiences. I learned that love isn't just about making agreements and sticking to them rigidly. It's about being willing to adapt when things don't go as planned. It's about understanding that what worked before might not work now, and that's okay. It's about finding a balance that respects both our needs and aspirations. In the end, I understood that our relationship was like any other living thing, constantly growing, changing, and needing care. It required effort, patience, and a willingness to see beyond my own perspective. And perhaps most importantly, it required a commitment to continually build and rebuild our life together. As I drifted off to sleep, comforted by the gentle rhythm of her breathing beside me, one question lingered in my mind. Could we keep nurturing this new understanding, or would we fall back into old patterns,